Last night in a dream, I saw myself standing in a vast library where every book contained the story of a human life. And then I realized this wasn't a dream, but something much deeper. Every night when I close my eyes, questions flood over me. Why are we here? What is the purpose of existence? Is there such a thing as fate, or is everything random? What if I told you that these aren't just philosophical questions, but guides for the soul? And what if you too feel that there's something more than this physical world we see every day? What are spirituality and philosophy really? Spirituality and philosophy aren't two separate worlds. They are two sides of the same quest. Philosophy asks, spirituality answers, but not with dogmas, but with experiences. Philosophy investigates, what is truth? Spirituality experiences, this is truth. When I started this channel, I knew I didn't want to give you the answers. Rather, I wanted us to question together, because the question is more important than the answer. Albert Einstein once said, "The important thing is to never stop questioning." And that's exactly what we're doing here. But what do I call spirituality and philosophy? This isn't religion. This isn't dogma. This is a way of thinking that remains open to the impossible. An attitude that believes something invisible lies behind the visible world. René Descartes, considered the father of modern philosophy, said, "I think, therefore I am." But I would add, I doubt, therefore I seek. Guidance from great thinkers. The greatest minds in human history have all asked the same question. What is the meaning of life? Socrates, the foundation of all philosophy, said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." But what is examination? It's the ability to question, the courage to doubt, openness toward the unknown. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, wrote, "Every day when you wake up, tell yourself, 'Today I will meet people who interfere, are ungrateful, ambitious, deceitful, envious, and antisocial. They are all like this because they cannot distinguish good from evil.'" But then he added, "But I know the nature of good, that it is beautiful, and of evil, that it is ugly." Lao Tzu, founder of Taoism, approached it differently. He who knows others is intelligent. He who knows himself is wise. This is the inner journey every spiritual seeker embarks upon. We don't seek answers in the external world, but within ourselves. St. Thomas Aquinas, who united Christian faith and philosophy, said, "To err is human, but to persist in error is diabolical." This means the process of seeking is more important than the final result. Scientific foundation. Modern science is getting closer to what spirituality has been saying for millennia. Quantum physics discoveries suggest that the observer and the observed cannot be separated. Werner Heisenberg, one of the founders of quantum mechanics, said, "What we observe is not nature itself, but nature as revealed through our method of questioning." Max Planck, the father of quantum physics, put it even more radically. "Consciousness is fundamental. Matter derives from consciousness. We cannot get behind consciousness. Everything we talk about, everything we regard as existing, postulates consciousness." Dr. Fritjof Capra, in his work, The Tao of Physics, showed that modern physics discoveries can be paralleled with ancient Eastern wisdom. According to Capra, quantum physics and mysticism point to the same reality, just in different languages. Interestingly, Dr. Eben Alexander, a neurosurgeon who experienced a near-death experience during a deep coma, completely changed his views about consciousness. Alexander said, "The brain doesn't create consciousness, but constrains it. Consciousness is much larger and more fundamental than we previously thought." Biblical foundation and Christian perspective. Scripture is full of references pointing to the existence of spiritual reality. The Apostle Paul writes in his first letter to the Corinthians, "For now we see through a glass, darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know even as also I am known." 1 Corinthians 13:12. This verse shows that our current knowledge is limited, but there's a deeper reality we can only see dimly for now. Christian spirituality isn't the opposite of questioning, but its foundation. Jesus himself taught with questions. "But whom say ye that I am?" Matthew 16:15. In Ecclesiastes we read, "He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end." Ecclesiastes 3:11. This verse shows that God has placed the awareness of eternity in us, that feeling that there's something more than what's visible. St. Augustine expressed this as, "You have created us for yourself, and our heart is restless until it rests in you." If these thoughts resonate with you, and you feel you're also a seeking soul who isn't satisfied with superficial answers, then subscribe to the channel. Together we'll explore those questions many don't dare to ask. Don't miss the next videos where we'll delve even deeper into the mysteries of existence. What does philosophical thinking mean today? In today's world, when every answer is just a click away, it's easy to believe there's a simple answer to every question. But philosophical thinking teaches the opposite. It teaches that good questions are more important than bad answers. Friedrich Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." But what is my why? What is the philosophy I'm dealing with? This isn't academic philosophy. This is the philosophy of everyday life. Questions like, why do I sometimes feel like a stranger in this world? Why am I drawn to certain people, places, thoughts? Why do I sometimes feel I've been somewhere I've never been? These aren't intellectual games. These are vital questions. Every person asks them, but not everyone dares to talk about them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." But I would add, the best life is not to be like those who don't question. The nature of spiritual experience. When I talk about spirituality, I'm not talking about rigid religious practices. I'm talking about that experience when you look up at the starry sky at night and suddenly understand that you're tiny in this infinity, but at the same time part of this infinity. Or when you wake from a dream knowing this was more than a dream. William James, one of America's greatest psychologists, said, "Religious experience is not second-hand information, but primary experience." According to James, these experiences are as real as any other human experience. Carl Jung went even further. He believed every neurosis is a substitute for legitimate spiritual suffering. Jung thought that when we suppress our spiritual needs, we become ill. The soul not only desires questions, but needs them. Teilhard de Chardin, Jesuit priest and paleontologist, beautifully expressed, "We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience." Practical manifestations. But how does this manifest in daily life? By starting to pay attention. Paying attention to our dreams. paying attention when a song suddenly fills us with deep emotion we can't explain, paying attention when we meet someone for the first time and feel like we've known them for a long time. These aren't coincidences. These are messages. But from whom? That depends on what you believe. It could be from God, from your subconscious, from the universe. The important thing is not to ignore it. Rumi, the Sufi mystic, wrote, "Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself." This is the essence of the inner journey. We don't question to change the world, but to change ourselves. The skeptical viewpoint. Of course, there are skeptics. There are those who say this is all self-deception, projection, or simply the product of imagination, and they might be partly right. Carl Sagan, the famous astrophysicist, said, "Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence." But Sagan also said, "Somewhere something incredible is waiting to be known." Skeptics play an important role. They keep grounded those who would fly too high. But skeptics are also seekers. They just question differently. Bertrand Russell, who was also a skeptic, said, "The whole problem with the world is that fools and fanatics are always so certain of themselves, while wiser people are full of doubts." This is true. Real wisdom comes from doubt, not from certainty. The soul dimension. Here we arrive at the deepest question. What is the soul? The materialist worldview says the soul doesn't exist. Everything is just the result of chemical processes in the brain. But this can't be proven either, just as the existence of the soul can't be. Both are matters of faith. St. Thomas Aquinas defined the soul as, "The soul is the form of the body." This means the soul is what makes the body alive, not something separate that lives in the body, but the very principle of life. Henri Bergson, Nobel Prize-winning philosopher, thought differently. According to him, the brain is a reducing organ. It doesn't create consciousness, but filters it. This means consciousness is much larger than the brain and doesn't cease with death. This is what Jesus speaks about when he says, "And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul." Matthew 10:28. This suggests there's something in humans that survives physical death. Challenges of the modern age. In the 21st century, we face particular challenges. Technology develops at an incredible pace, but the soul develops at the same slow rate as 1,000 years ago. Historian Yuval Noah Harari puts it, "We have learned to fly like birds, swim like fish, but we haven't learned to live like humans." This gap is growing larger. More information, but less wisdom. More connections, but fewer real encounters. Viktor Frankl, the Holocaust survivor and psychologist, said, "People don't suffer from depression, but from the meaninglessness of existence." But there is hope. This is exactly why we need philosophical thinking and spiritual seeking. These give meaning to life. These show that there's a purpose to our being here. The collective unconscious. Carl Jung spoke of the collective unconscious, the idea that every person is connected to a common consciousness field. According to Jung, the collective unconscious is the repository of humanity's spiritual heritage, which is reborn in every human brain. This means when we question, we're not just questioning for ourselves. We're questioning for all humanity. Every question I ask, every answer I seek, is part of this collective search. Biologist Rupert Sheldrake went even further with his theory of morphic resonance. According to him, if enough people learn something, it becomes easier for others as well. This means our spiritual search doesn't just help us, but everyone. What do you think? Do you feel within yourself the desire to go deeper beneath the surface? Or are you satisfied with what daily life offers? There's no wrong answer. Every person walks their own path. But if you feel there's a seeking soul within you, if you too look up at the sky at night and question, if you too feel there's something more than this physical world, then you belong here. Subscribe to the channel, share the video with those who are also seekers, and come with us on this journey. In the next video, we'll talk about what our dreams' spiritual messages mean and how we can learn to interpret the signs we receive nightly. Because dreams aren't random, they're the nightly universities where the soul learns. Remember, ask and it shall be given you, seek and ye shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you. Matthew 7:7. This isn't just a biblical promise, it's life's deepest law. Those who ask receive answers. Those who seek find. Those who knock have doors opened. Thank you for joining me on this journey. And remember, we're not alone in this search. Every person who ever lived asked these same questions. We're just continuing the conversation humanity began thousands of years ago. See you in the next video, where we'll delve even deeper into existence's great mysteries. Until then, question, seek, and be open to the unknown. Because the unknown is the only place where we can truly be at home.